What's going on, gamers? So, I don't know if you guys remember, I made a video last week about the Steam Deck officially being done because I said that they're preparing for the Steam machine and because of the crisis going on in the market. Well, it turns out it's actually true. Um, Valve actually breaks its silence on the Steam Deck OLED because we know the other one got discontinued. Um, so it's just Valve breaks its silence on the Steam Deck OLED scarcity, and yes, it's because of the RAM and storage crisis. That's crazy. So those parts are going up too for the handheld world, which actually suck. Everything's going up, honestly. GPU prices going up, SSD, RAM. It's like, oh man, anything in the PC world, I mean, it is just not in a good position at all. And I don't know what to say about that. I mean, all this sucks. So this gives you the idea that it wasn't an accident you weren't seeing a restock of the Steam Deck OLED. Yeah, no, of course not. Valve knows what they're doing. They're looking at it. And here's what I was thinking too, where it's like this. And we had a lot to talk about because we could talk about the Steam machine too, and how that's also in trouble. Because of this AI goose chase and feed, you practically have Valve thinking, well, look, this thing's already been out, what, 5 years now or whatever? And since it's been out that long, why do I want to look anti-consumer and be forced to jack the price up? You see what I'm saying? Because either Valve jacks the price up because they're not going to subsidize because they're being forced in that position because the price is never going to go down. I mean, everything. You see, remember when we used to think that it was consoles and you were like, no, it's this whole industry. And I was trying to tell people that no, you never see the Steam Deck go down in permanent price. And now with the market forcing things to be ridiculously more expensive than they are, they're not going to subsidize. So they're looking at it like this. I mean, it doesn't sell that much already anymore. It already kind of like hit its kind of like stride a bit. The Steam machine is obviously more important because that's very fresh. And it's a console like aspect that's going to be put in, into the gaming industry and be something fresh. So they want to make sure that gets the best start possible. So if they want to at least get the best deal on the parts, it's going to all go towards that. So that's definitely going to happen. So you could basically say, yeah, good headline. The Steam Deck is officially dead at the moment. And not because Valve has killed it, but because Valve doesn't want to subsidize and because their hand is being forced. And we know Valve usually likes to choose the gamers over anything. Besides them making their profits, obviously, but everybody likes to make their profits. But they still don't want to be seen as somebody that's pro-consumer, like saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to make the Steam Deck OLED like $650." People will be like, "What the hell? That is ridiculous." Now we're getting into the pro range, like what I mean. Nobody wants to see that, and Valve does not want to be seen as that. So I think it's better to discontinue at the moment. It's not like it's a booming market, you know what I mean? It doesn't sell like hotcakes, so they're thinking about doing that and focusing on the Steam machine. And maybe if the market dies down a bit, they can come back with the Steam Deck 2 instead or something from like 2 years from now or something and have that ready. They may be secretly working on that. You never know. It had its run. It did better than every other PC handheld. You know what I mean? They don't even get to 100 million. I was reading an article that the ROG Ally probably sold like 200,000 or something. And I try to tell people that thing is not going to sell. It's kind of embarrassing, honestly. But yeah, I'm sorry for people that did not get to get their chance to get their hands on one, but I'm pretty sure you can still probably find some leftover ones at Amazon, probably look for some used ones around somewhere, refurbished. There'll probably be a way for you to get some. But as of right now, yeah, it's officially done. So we're going to be reading some of these comments, then we're going to get to that main article. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. And then I got to talk about the Steam machine as well, because I mean, it's in the same position, but Valve just decides that, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to spend this on the parts for the Steam machine because that's brand new. The Steam Deck has had its run. You know what I mean? We're going to do a Steam Deck 2, they just said when the time is right and the pricing is right. Obviously, right now would be a nightmare because they are not going to do that. They have to sell that thing, yeah, it'd be more expensive than the Steam machine. So down here, he says, can the AI bubble just pop already? Yeah, I know. Tell me about it, right? And this really just went live not too long ago. Javier says, I think it's just an excuse to cover the delay and price increase of the Steam machine. No. Valve's not the type of company to do that. When you see everybody doing this too, bro, it's pretty obvious. No, there's obviously manipulation by the companies that are manipulating the RAM, that are manipulating the SSD, that are manipulating the GPU prices. It goes into that market all the way back to NVIDIA and stuff, and the data center fees with Microsoft and all of them. But I do not see somebody doing that on purpose. Like, why would you discontinue it when you could keep selling more and potentially drop the price? That doesn't make any sense for at all. No, the Steam machine was supposed to already be out or be announced with the price. Valve said that. So I don't see why they would, delay things and say, let me think about it. It's like, no, if you can get your stuff out and do well, why would you not do that? No, it's the whole market. Let's not be dumb here. Thanks, AI. All your slop accounts are a disease. Tell me about it. I mean, when you really think about the quality of the industry, the quality of gaming development, like how good it used to really be, and it's still good in certain departments, how healthy gaming has been for a long time, how it has billions of people, how so much people focus on that, how so much people get a PC, how so much people got Windows back then, how a lot of people like Linux, just everything, right? When you just think about everything on the market, how it has got everything to this at this point, and then they all jump ship to the AI to take everything down for the customer, meaning that you're screwing over the customer and making everything more expensive. And now they have 100 times more money than they had before, 100 times richer than the millions they had into the billions and billions and some of them trillions. And they decide to jack the price up and manipulate anymore. It gives you the idea of the inhuman spectrum and of this world. Man, it's like massively desensitized and ridiculously greedy. Yeah, 7 deadly sin greedy. So going down to Pacho, he says, when able to get my hands on one last year, that's cool. Here in Europe, it's out of stock too. I just got the 512 model a few months ago in the summer, dude. Holy crap. But it was selling more in the US. But yeah, I mean, the same thing is happening there. We get that idea here. Things just keep getting worse and worse with this, along with the PS6 and Switch 2 news. Well, we don't know if that's official yet. What we do know with the PS6 getting delayed is that that's not bad news. That's good. Now, the Switch 2 price going up, yeah, that would be bad news. They don't need to do that. They need to build their base. Valve is doomed. We are doomed. Now, Valve is fine. It's better if we read a good paper book instead. Oh, man, that's pretty funny. So, guys, I can purchase a 2 terabyte. Should I get one? I mean, it's up to you, bro. I found this one on Amazon if anyone is interested. As I said, you might be able to find something like that on the market. Now, going over to the article, it's not saying much, except here, AI continues to mop up all components you need to play video games in every spectrum. You got to think about the cell phones, too, getting the chip parts like that. Apple's going to get that product lineup. They're going to get that priority. Reports last week that the Steam Deck is sold out in the U.S. prompted speculation ranging sober through to outlandish, but the actual reason is simple, and you've likely already guessed it. Like the rest of the video games industry, Valve has been hit by a memory crisis. Steam Deck OLED may be out of stock intermittently in some regions due to memory and storage shortage. Valve now acknowledges on the Steam Deck store page, confirming that the handheld's scarcity can be blamed on the same phenomenon that has delayed the Steam machine. Jacked up RAM and SSD prices and threatens to shutter many electronic manufacturers. Even the likes of Sony and Nintendo are being hit hard. Sony is considering pushing back its next-gen console until as far as 2029. That's not necessarily a bad thing. While Nintendo is considering a price increase on the Switch 2, that would be bad. But they didn't officially say that. They said that they're monitoring closely. That's what Bloomberg is guessing. At time of writing, all Steam Deck OLED models remain available in the UK and Australia. While the Steam machine is still on track to release in the first half of 2026, Valve hoped to announce a price and firmer release date by now. But the memory and storage shortages you've likely heard about across the industry have rapidly increased since then. So going back and take a look at this is pretty much accurate then. As I said, it has increased. It's like they're secretly stocking up in the background and feeding AI, you know what I mean? And they're not going to give any priority to something like the Steam Deck that barely moves anything and barely makes any money. Just think about it. They're not going to. Valve wrote last week, this is what they said, but the memory and storage shortages you've likely heard about across the industry have rapidly increased since then. That's what Valve said. The limited availability and growing prices of these critical components mean we must revisit our exact shipping schedule and pricing, especially around Steam Machine and Steam Frame. The crisis has everything to do with AI industry's greedy demand for memory. So next time you're watching a Gemini-generated reel about a giant Norwegian forest cat eating the live cartoon tuna while raising Manhattan, you'll know who to blame. To understand the crisis in full detail, Jacob Fox's RAM shortage explainer is a great resource. But we already know that because I've explained this on this channel a lot of times. So basically, we get a highlight of what Valve said. And like they said, they're trying to Think about the limited availability focus. It's going to be going around the Steam machine and Steam frame. And like I said, they had to revisit their shipping schedule and pricing. They don't even have an official price for the Steam machine. And they're saying it's still now in the Steam frame because they're wrapping their head around it. So like, damn. So if they're in that situation, do you think the PS6 has one in the Magnus? Nope, it does not. Do you think Nintendo even knows the price of the Switch 2 going up? They're probably thinking at the least, if they were going to, probably $25. Don't do anything more than that. But they kind of have their own like lifetime agreement contracts. Just like Sony has this. That's why they secured it all the way to the end of this year. So Sony's good on that, and I think Nintendo will be fine. They should subsidize a bit because, like I said, they're in a really good position. But Valve does not want to subsidize at all. They don't have a market where they have to make, 15, 20 million a year. That's a lot for Valve. They want to at least get 5 million Steam machines probably made and have it with a good deal, or say, you know what, we're only going to have like probably 2 million this year because of the limited supplies. So, I mean, yeah, we're just going to have to wait to see how this plays out. Once again, we see this thing affecting companies that are not really anti-consumer like that. And I don't see a reason for Valve to lie about that. It's stupid. If you can get your stuff out and get it going and get the market selling a lot and get that right price point, probably wanted to do 700, then they would have done that already, right? But that's not the case here. They're still sitting there deciding. And it would be nice for us to know the full details, how expensive this stuff is, right? If somebody had price per component, how much these cost, and this is why they need to do that. And then that would make people actually feel better about it because you would get a more honest perspective about, okay, this is how much profit they're actually making. And this is how expensive it is to get all this. And this is how much it costs to make the Steam machine. Usually people do get that over time. So hopefully we do get something like that so that we can get an idea of how this stuff is really working and what deals does Valve get or what they have to deal with. I think that would be nice to know. So you guys let me know what you think about this. Leave a comment down below. Peace out. Keep gaming and stay patient. This stuff sucks. Get away from gaming. But hey, you see what I mean? This is happening in the PC world and it's affecting everything. Going back to NVIDIA, Samsung, Hynix, and, Crucial, who's obviously stepping out. And a couple other companies. Apple has to get their products. Cell phones have to get the chips as well. So they use stuff like that. So, I mean, that's just the way things work. It sucks. Later, y'all. Keep on gaming.